Students, Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Nice to be with you again in our 7th lecture. Okay, as you remember and as you know, the last 2 lectures we were discussing some of the genres of the children's literature. We discussed, poetry genre, then the folk tales and the fairy tales, and finally we discussed the realism genre in children's literature. Today we continue, we start something new in the syllabus related to children's literature, and today's lecture is not expected to be that long, okay? And this lecture could be the last in introducing the course as as an art of children's literature. Then right after we start with stories and then the novel from children's books and related materials and stories written for children. Okay, so today's lecture, as you see, is related to the elements of the children's literature and the common themes of in children's literature. Literary elements. When we talk about literary elements are almost the same of what we have in other genres, for adults. It's also the same as what we have in poetry or drama. Children's literature, elements in children's literature are not that different from those in other genres for adults, but here we talk in particular about what is more relevant to children. As I've just said, the elements of literature in general are almost the same. The 3 genres share the same, they have a lot in common. But there are some genres which have their own and make them different from the others. We start with the first literary term related to style. When we talk about the style, we mean, if we say the style of what's the style of the author, or what is the style used in this literary work or in this work. We talk about the author's choice and arrangement of words in order to create a plot, characterization, setting, and theme. So all of these together make the style of the work and the style of the author in this work. Devices of the style, devices used, tools used, terms, tools used in any work of literature to carry out the style, okay, to come out with any style. We talk about first device, the connotation, which is associative or emotional meaning of a word, usually used to describe a character or situation. So it's sort of a brief description of a situation or of a character. We have imagery, where the appeal of the senses helps to create setting, establish mood and character. Figurative language. When we talk about figurative language, we talk about using words not in their literal meanings. We talk about here using words or the language figuratively. Okay, figuratively, to use words to mean something else, or what we say in Arabic اللي هو المجازي، استعمال مجازي للغة. طبعا through what? Through different terms اللي like personification, simile, metaphor, alliteration, personification. Okay. Then next device في عندنا الهايبربولي. الهايبربولي اللي هي exaggeration of expression، أو بنسميه overstatement اللي هي المبالغة. Okay, understatement is the opposite of hyperbole. اللي هو understatement when you يعني used to play down or a happening or situation يعني not to take a serious happening or situation very seriously or as it should be taken. Then we have allusion. Allusion here to allude, that means to refer to an important name, place, time, okay, in a piece of literature. Symbol, which means, you know, to يعني symbol is يعني having someone that's something that stands for something else. Something that stands for something else. Something that operates on two levels of meaning. Something that has two meanings at the same time, or something that stands for something else اللي هو الرمز. Let's say talk about the two swords and the palm tree. Here we refer to, let's say, Saudi Arabia. So this is a symbol of Saudi Arabia. So two things to have two different meanings, or something stands for something else. The two swords with the palm tree stands, I mean this symbol stands for Saudi Arabia, for example. Other devices, you know, related to sound. These devices on the previous page related to words, okay, and then other devices related to sound اللي هو الأنوماتوبيا. الأنوماتوبيا اللي هو the sound, يعني to speak or to use words as they sound. Like when we say hush, whir, hiss, purr, okay, crash, okay, meow. Okay, these are what is called onomatopoeia in literature. We have words used in works of literature to give these sounds. In literature, we call them onomatopoeia. Then we have next alliteration. Alliteration here, repetition of the sounds at the beginning of the words in one line, in the same line, okay, or next to each other. Okay, like when we say, you know, sweet smell of success, sa. Sweet smell of success. Or a dime a dozen, da. Bigger and better. Bigger and better. Okay, bigger and better, ba. Okay, this is what we call alliteration. Alliteration. Consonants, the close repetition of consonant sounds within a phrase but not in the initial position. يعني consonants similar to alliteration, but alliteration, repetition of the sounds at the beginning of the words. Consonants at the end of the words. Okay, like odds, ends, first, last, est, odds, ends, ids. Then we have short and sweet, ta. Okay, stroke, luck, ka. Okay, this is consonants. مثلا waste, first, taste, waste. Okay, tone اللي هو we talk about, the author's attitude towards what he or she has written. Okay, فيعني بنسميه اللي هو برضه related to the اللي هو let's say to the style اللي هو زي ما نقول اسلوبه او النبره تبعت الكاتب في الخطاب او في الكتابه تبعه. ايش النبره تبعه؟ هل هي كانت هجائيه، عدائيه، تهكميه، كوميديه، هزليه؟ Okay, so it's the author attitude toward what he or she has written. Is it humor, mysterious, creepy, straightforward, matter of fact, and so on. Okay, this is what we call the tone. Next, we come to اللي هو common themes in اللي هو second part of this lecture اللي هو common themes in children's literature. Of course, now related to what has just been said اللي هو devices والelements. Okay, you need to remember and memorize, these devices and the definition of each device with an example. At least, you have to know an example or two examples of each definition of each device or each literary element or literary term. Okay, next we talk about here common themes in children's literature. يعني what moral lessons are usually meant to be used or to teach students, to teach children through literary works, through stories, poetry, or drama written for children. So what are the common themes? First, we need to know to define. Okay, before we come to the definition, we read the introduction. There are many attributes, many traits, many let's say many traits to a literary work. Okay, many traits, many characteristics. These include plot, characterization, symbols, and themes. The theme helps give focus to the story and therefore is fundamental part of the work. Okay, يعني any work should have a theme. يعني should have a theme means should have a moral lesson for the readers to learn. Should have a moral message. There should be